Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to the Revolutionary Wealth Builders channel where we bring wealth building education to the people. My name is Emmet, and per usual, I'm going to be with you for the next 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how much work we can get done in this very brief but very power packed and important video discussion that we're going to have today. So, today I want to talk about the things that poor and impoverished and middle class people must do and before they can consider purchasing Bitcoin. We're going to talk a lot about Bitcoin, what it is, what the things that people don't understand about it, and why it's important that other things would be satisfied and before you could purchase Bitcoin as a speculative investment. Again, this is not investment advice. I'm simply discussing the things that I would do or the things, this is just my opinion, but this is not investment advice. So, the first thing that I hear when I get up in the morning and I start to do my research as it relates to the crypto space is what the price of Bitcoin is. So, people like to imagine and they like to speculate, they like to have this imagery, these delusions of grandeur as it relates to how much money they are going to make in Bitcoin. So let's be clear. When you are poor or you are middle class or you don't have any assets other than a home with a mortgage and dry powder, meaning cash, you are not in a position or a space, in my opinion, to be speculating with Bitcoin. People speculate that Bitcoin is going to go to 300,000. That may very well be true. From a 50K all-time high today, that's 6x. Well, there are other assets that can net you 6x with less risk. There are other assets that can net you 6x that don't cost as much. The reality is most people who will invest in Bitcoin from poor, impoverished, and middle-class communities will not buy an entire Bitcoin. They will buy fractions of it, meaning a Satoshi. So Bitcoin going to $300,000 has less of an impact on your portfolio as it does for an individual who will spend $50,000 for one entire Bitcoin. Think about what I'm saying. In your imagination, you believe that you're going to make $300,000 because somebody says Bitcoin is going to $300,000, but that is simply delusions of grandeur. You're going to buy $500 worth of Bitcoin, and your $500 worth of Bitcoin may go to $3,000, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is this. There are other things that people who don't have a properly balanced portfolio must understand before they speculate in cryptocurrency and buy Bitcoin. So number one, do you have a portfolio? What does your portfolio consist of? Again, most people that make $100,000 or less have one major asset in their portfolio, and that is a home. And typically that home has a mortgage, which means that it is debt. The other assets that they have in their portfolio are cash. They may have a car note and other things. A portfolio is a balanced and diversified collection of assets that make you money. They can be securities, they can be PMs, it can be land, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs. It can be dry powder, meaning cash. It can be a lot of things. But if you don't have a properly diversified and balanced portfolio, you have no business playing with Bitcoin. You are gambling, and you have no reserve and no foundation to fall back on if your gamble misses. So it's important for us to understand what a portfolio is. So someone who would wager $50,000 in Bitcoin must have at least $5 million in cash or worth $5 million in their portfolio. Why? Because crypto is such a speculative asset that if you invest in crypto, where if you decide that you're going to invest in crypto, you are basically acknowledging the reality that it is only 1% of your overall portfolio. Why 1%? Because crypto is so volatile and is so much of a speculatory asset that a smart investor would only allocate 1%, maybe 3 to 5% of their entire portfolio of assets to cryptocurrency. So what does that mean? That means that specifically right now, Bitcoin are for wealthy people who don't know what they want to do with their surplus of money. Bitcoin is not for somebody who makes $100,000, who has $4,000 worth of bills every month, and you have no other assets in your portfolio. You have no business jumping around, playing around, dibbling and dabbling in cryptocurrency. Not at the tune of $50,000, you don't. So if we've established that you're not buying a whole Bitcoin going to $300,000 does not have the same impact on your investment that it does for somebody who purchased Bitcoin and purchased an entire Bitcoin, excuse me. So let's be realistic. The average poor to middle class person that invests in Bitcoin will probably invest about $500. So you're going to have to leave that $500 in your crypto investment asset account, whatever platform you use, for an extended period of time. How many of you are patient enough to put $500 somewhere, don't touch it, don't be concerned about it, and wait till it balloons to $3,000? My next question would be, what are you going to do with $3,000? What you going to do, pay some bills with it? You're going to try to put it in there and double that or triple that? So you're going to find yourself consistently trying to reinvest in crypto, one of the most volatile asset classes ever introduced to investments. Don't forget, in 2017 in December, Bitcoin went to 19,000 and then crashed all the way back down to $3,800. So we know that the volatility is there. One of the biggest issues with people who don't understand investing is that when something is going up and everybody is discussing it, they never consider the reality that it will lose value, that it will crash, that it will correct, that it will go down. They only dream about, with delusions of grandeur, how high it's going to go. You cannot do that. That is not investing. That is gambling. Investing is researching assets, understanding what they are, understanding the volatility, understanding what percentage you want to allocate from your portfolio, actually having a portfolio to begin with, and then allocating a certain amount of money to that asset to where you understand the risk and the reward. That is why typically poor and impoverished Black people and people of color stay poor, because they don't understand investments. They understand what they feel, and they don't do any research. I love you. That is why this is a tough love conversation that we're having. If everybody is talking about it, typically it's too late. You have to do your research in this space, people, before you allocate $1 into cryptocurrency. Just because you see the price going up does not mean it is for you. These Bitcoin maxis and hodlers have been holding Bitcoin for 5, 10, 8, for 11 years. They are going to be wealthy thousands of times over because they bought at the right time. They're telling you to buy now so they can sell it to you so they can get up out of there. I promise you, a person who bought Bitcoin for 11 cents in 2009 does not care about, is not going to keep all of their Bitcoin until it goes to 300 grand. They're selling some of it to you right now. Because 11 cents to 50K, that profit is so massive, you'd be an idiot trying to wait for Bitcoin to go to 300 grand, knowing its volatility. So it's important that we understand the importance of, one, having a portfolio, building a diversified, balanced portfolio with some real things in it. If the first time you trying to invest in something, you're investing in Bitcoin, you've more than likely already lost because you're investing in one of the most speculatory and volatile assets in the investment space. And so if that's what you are building upon to build your portfolio is built on shaky ground. This is not investment advice. I am not an investment advisor. But what I do know is that it is important that we build a portfolio with precious metals, dry powder, which is cash, paid off property, cash, that you own it free and clear, no mortgage. You have land. You can grow your own food. You have secured your home. And when you do all of these things, if you have a little money left over, you can speculate in cryptocurrency. But you got a whole bunch of other stuff to do before we even get to that point. If you skipped all of those steps, you will be sorry. You will be sorry. It's important that I speak with assertiveness and be clear with you that your portfolio needs to have other things in it before you start playing games with crypto. Now, once you've established that, there are other cryptocurrencies that are cheaper, that have more of a ceiling, that create more of a possibility to 10x than Bitcoin. In my opinion, it's your job to find those. We've had other videos discussing these things in this space. You are buying Bitcoin because it is a brand. It is the first one. Bitcoin is the equivalent to MySpace. MySpace was the first one. Does MySpace even exist now? Think about that for a second. Think about what I just said. Let that sink in for a minute. Bitcoin is the equivalent to MySpace. We are getting ready to encounter something similar to the dot-com bubble of 2000. Everybody always thinks the asset is just going to keep going up until it doesn't. If you don't understand that Bitcoin was developed based on a process called proof of work, which doesn't work, if you don't understand what a blockchain is, if you don't understand that miners have to solve a mathematical equation in order to mine Bitcoin, you have no business buying it. If you don't understand that Ethereum was built on a proof of work foundation, and now Ethereum 2.0 is now being built on a proof of stake process or protocol, then you have no business buying Bitcoin. If you don't understand that there are other cryptocurrencies that may be adopted as real currency for cross-border payment processes, then you have no business buying Bitcoin. If you don't understand that there are other cryptocurrencies that transact faster than Bitcoin, which will probably make them more valuable in the future, then you have no business buying Bitcoin. If the only reason why you're buying Bitcoin is because you're looking at your phone or you're on social media or you're turning on a TV and they're saying Bitcoin is at an all-time high, if that's the only reason why you're buying Bitcoin, you're going to lose your money. You have to really, truly understand what Bitcoin is, where it came from, and where it's going in order to speculate. Have I bought Bitcoin before? Yes. Have I made money off of Bitcoin? Yes. Might I buy Bitcoin again? On a dip, maybe, because I understand its volatility. I'll follow a chart. I'll take a look at a chart look at the TA, see what could happen in the future, and maybe make a little bit of money. Snatch that money out of there, put it in a real hard asset. But that's the other thing. After you make some money off of Bitcoin, then what? What are you going to do with it? So you took a risk and a gamble just so you could go buy a Louis Vuitton purse, so you could go buy a brand new pair of J's, so you could buy some flat screen TVs. What are your goals? You must build a real portfolio of assets with a real foundation that includes PMs, land, real estate, and other things before you call yourself playing around with cryptocurrency that is highly volatile, that can have you losing investment capital and having you make malinvestments because you don't understand what you're doing and you have nothing else to back you up if you lose any of your money. You have to have a foundation of investments to speculate in cryptocurrency. If you haven't done that yet, you have no business playing around with Bitcoin, in my opinion. Those are the things that you must do before you buy Bitcoin. Thanks for joining us on the Revolutionary Wealth Builders channel. I am not an investment advisor. I hope this helps people. I hope it brings clarity to your thoughts. Research, research, research. Do not invest in anything if you haven't done the research. And in my opinion, there are other cryptos that will yield you higher returns than Bitcoin that do not cost $50,000 per coin. So do your own research on that. Don't take my word for it. I'm not an investment advisor. You've been with the Revolutionary Wealth Builders, where we bring wealth education to the people. I hope this was of value to you. Peace and love, and we'll catch you on the next one.